Hello, my name is Miles Clark with snowbrains.com. Today I'm here with Troy Caldwell, who owns the White Wolf. I don't know if we could call it a ski area yet, but he owns White Wolf. It's an area of land between Squaw Valley and Alpine Meadows. So Troy has the ability to connect Squaw Valley and Alpine Meadows. And so that's why Troy is the most interesting man in Lake Tahoe. So Troy, thanks for showing up here, or letting us come over today and hang out with you.
Thanks for your interest in the project. We enjoy talking about it for sure.
It's pretty fun. So I think what everybody wants to know, first of all, is it going to happen? Is the Squaw Valley Alpine Meadows Connect via White Wolf going to happen?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that it will take place. My particular portion of it was to physically see how it could take place. A lot of things could take place in the political world, but physically, can it take place? Yes, it can. And we're pretty excited about what we found and how we can do that.
It's exciting. I mean, I'm more excited than anybody else. I really want to see this happen. And how soon? What do you think the time frame is? And I know that's a complicated question because I know there's permitting and environmental reports and all this, but we've talked a couple times previously about this. But what do you think? What do you think is realistic?
I think realistic. Not in the perfect world. Perfect world, we could probably be like 3 years, something like that. I think we're more like a 5-year kind of thing.
Okay.
And there'll be different stages that we will develop along the ways. That some things will come along before others in there. But I think 5 years is kind of in the ballpark there.
5 years, yeah. Well, 5 years is good. So I think that most of us plan on being around in 5 years.
I'm hoping I'm still around, yeah.
Me too. Me too. Great. And then, so we know that you're negotiating with KSL, who owns Squaw Valley and Alpine Meadows now. So it really makes a lot of sense to connect these two resorts. So how are negotiations going with KSL, and where are they right now?
You know, we have a great rapport going. It's really fun to work with those guys. They have some great ideas about the future. They have some money to put into the projects, which is a pretty important portion of the whole thing. So I'm enjoying the fact that they've kind of let me on board as part of the design team. This is kind of a big part of the future where Alpine Squaw go, if we can connect those things. So they've given me my head as far as the ability to connect and do some stuff, and they're listening to me. We have also, world-class planners on board that straighten me out when we start going left and right. But they take my dreams and pretty much sort them out, and I'm just totally enjoying working with those guys. They're honest, they're fair, and that was a big portion of what I needed to have to work with somebody.
I'm sure KSL offered you money just to buy this place, and you walk away. And as you stated before, you want to be a part of it. So how is that going to work with you and KSL? Is that going to be a partnership, or what are you guys working out in that realm?
I get to be a landlord at this point.
So they would lease from you, potentially?
They would lease.
Okay.
We'd have some kind of
Not too different from what's happening now?
Pretty much, yeah. Okay. Like the KT Mountain, we would actually do a lease scenario in there. We've talked about different options of them coming in and developing with us, and I wanted to kind of take that one on myself. So we've been very respectful of each other's projects, and wanted to do something that was complementary. For us to be a high-end kind of resort community made sense, because that was something that wasn't really being offered within the whole complex of the village. So it was very complimentary in that sense. The private issue was pretty attractive to that high-end clientele. So we've kind of been working together very closely, but have been very respectful of where each project is going inside of there, and hopefully we got a real nice blend.
I like that though. So, but in the end, you're going to maintain ownership of this area, and you'll be working with Squaw Valley and Alpine Meadows.
Yeah, I just don't see myself as getting a big yacht and heading out to sea and taking a big check. So I think I'm going to be part of this thing. I'm hoping my ashes are sprinkled somewhere on the top of Peace Pike Peak.
A lot of funny numbers have been out there about what you've been offered for White Wolf, because it's a square mile. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So are you able to disclose any interesting offers or strange people that have contacted you about buying this piece of land? Because to us, it's very valuable, and I know it is to you.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, what I would actually take for it, I'm not sure I would take anything for it, because I'm totally involved with the project.
Priceless then.
But yeah, priceless. But $50 million is kind of a figure that's been thrown out there by a couple of folks. Don't know how realistic that would be when we got down to actually putting the thing on the contract, but those are the numbers that have been floated around for sure.
And what makes you say no to an offer like that? Because most people in the world would say, $50 million, I'll take that and run. And so for you, tell us why it's so important, this place for you.
You know, I grew up in Tahoe. I didn't grow up here, but I basically spent all my adult life, and I came when I was 19 years old. So this is really home for me. And had a chance to travel throughout the world when I was on the U.S. freestyle team. Got to see a lot of pretty exciting places. And Tahoe was just very special. And when I was offered all that kind of money, and you think about, well, where would I go? What would I do? And it's pretty exciting for, you know, about a month. You're going like, oh boy, travel, do this, do that. And then I really think about what is exciting to me in my life, and it's developing this piece of property. So I don't know if it's priceless or not, but to me, living here and being a part of the project was very important. So, you know, money will come along with the whole thing. I don't need to have a big old giant hunk of money in my pocket. I'm just having a ball doing this whole thing, and that was our main reason for just saying, well, we want to stick it out and be a part of the whole development.
I like that. I respect that. You know, this is your baby.
Yeah.
And a lot, like, not everybody can relate to that, but this is your baby, and you want it to work the way you want it to work.
Yeah, and I know
like
that's
that.
a pretty strange thought to think that somebody would turn down $50 million, but when you really start to think about what you do with your money, you know, everybody looks for that financial security. And at a certain point, you get to that, and then you start to go, well, everything's just kind of extra. What do I want to do with that? And this is really what I want to do, is I want to develop White Wolf and make it something special. So, hey, that money's still out there. It's all part of a piece of granite, but I get to work with it here, so I'm excited about it.
So, and how many chairlifts do you think? I think last time we talked, we were talking about you having 3 chairlifts, one connecting to Alpine, one connecting to Squaw, and then a beginner's chairlift within White Wolf itself.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we've ended up. We'll have a private chairlift. Okay. We'll have a beginner private chairlift. And as we sort out the ideas for the interconnect, it could be a chairlift, it could be a gondola.
Oh, interesting.
In there. So we're trying to figure out what the best solution for that is. But basically, you know, 3 modes of transportation is probably what we're going to head for.
If it was a gondola, where would it start and where would it finish, you think?
You know, it's important to bring the 2 ski areas together.
Of course.
And if we could come up with something that would, you know, satisfy that need, we would probably head that particular direction.
So it potentially could go right from Squaw right to Alpine.
Potentially,
so you
yeah.
wouldn't even need to ski White Wolf, potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
What's the story behind the backside of KT22 chair? And there's so many rumors, and nobody has any kind of factual information. So you can keep it short, but we'd love to know what's going on with that backside of KT20, the White Wolf chair. What's the story behind that? When did it go in? And just give us a little background.
One of the first things that initially started it was this chairlift behind us that was a privately, it was a chairlift that I couldn't go public with. When we got into the politics of getting our permit, I had a whole different requirement level if I were to go public as far as safety issues and patrols and so on and so forth. So we approached it on a private kind of status. So family and friends is what the actual permit calls for.
Right.
And for them to be a family or friend, they also had to be qualified to ski on the thing. They had certain courses were required, you know, your avalanche skills and medical skills and stuff like that. So we put together about 16 guides that got themselves qualified, took the classes, did our avalanche programs, and we started off to build a chairlift in there. So we.
And what year was that?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't even remember now. I'd say we're like 6 years, 7 years ago.
Yeah,
something like that.
I was here. Yeah, I want to say that, you know, late 2000s. Or
yeah,
like
but it opened everybody's eyes up to where we were, what the potential was, and where we were going. And growing up in this area, I remember back in 1968, I think, in Skiing Magazine, I read my first article that said, Alpine and Squaw are so close together, wouldn't it be good to connect these two? And little did I know that I'd play a chapter in maybe making that whole thing come true.
And maybe the final chapter.
I'm hoping we'll get to see something come to fruition here, though.
And is there still any plans to string that? Or I would guess that, you know, the plans for this chairlift here are kind of on hold as you negotiate with KSL at this point.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we knew which direction we were actually going. You know, we had a lot of good input from KSL as to the possibilities and things that would work for them and stuff. So, in good faith, we thought we would, you know, back up instead of just jumping in and finishing this chair and maybe it wouldn't work out for what we needed to do. We'd stop and put our money into progressing the rest of the plan and trying to get everything to the same level so we could actually, you know, commit to the project.
Makes a lot of sense. And then, so when I interviewed you, you gave me a cat ride all through here in 2011. Very, very cool. And you had large plans for maybe a little village, skating rink, or maybe even a gondola. And you told me at the time, these plans are big, and I know they're going to get downsized. But so I'm just curious, where do you think plans are headed now as negotiations and you're getting a more realistic view of what is going to be White Wolf?
Yeah, and you know, your community plays a pretty big part as to the direction that you go, and listening to my neighbors and trying to fill out what, you know, really worked for them. The village didn't look like it was going to work. A lot of traffic, a lot of people, a lot of noise. So we kind of backed off that portion of it as far as the main White Wolf project, and ended up being more of a private, high-end resort development, but keeping a portion of that open to the public that would be able to access and connect the two ski areas. So realistically, we've kind of redirected several times. When we actually, you know, do our submittals and get ready with the final ideas and stuff, hopefully we can say we did the right thing, we listened to folks, and we're going the right direction, and now we're going to commit to that and put all our energy into it.
Great. And are you at liberty to say what exactly you think will be the reality, at least at this point?
Yeah, I can tell you my ideas. You know, you get redirected as you get into the course of the permit world.
As the fine print and red tape comes through. And
you want to be, you know, you want to be negotiable through that thing, and be open-minded as you enter that permit stage in there. But
of course,
I think that the high-end residential is pretty much realistic as to where we'll end up doing it. We'll have some great amenities for those particular people, and you know, we'll try to have some opportunities for different public events and things like that. But you know, we're going to pay the bills through that private community, I think, inside it.
Expert skiers want to know, will we be able to ski this big, you know, intimidating cliff faces that you have here? Or it just seems like it would really avalanche out into a zone you'd be using for something else, maybe. So is that maybe a possibility? It's a marmot right there. Get the camera.
Get the camera on there.
Get the camera on there.
Forget the interview, let's get the marmot.
All right, marmot interruption. All right, come back. So I'll just ask again. Yeah, so do you think some of this more quote-unquote extreme terrain might be available to expert skiers?
It will be, but will it be accessed on a private or a public basis? I'm not sure.
Okay.
And will it be daily? No. Avalanche reasons basically prevent us to getting into that.
Complicated terrain. Yeah,
very complicated terrain. Something that we have to be, you know, continually look at the safety aspects of it. So those opportunities are certainly there. How we will actually fulfill those, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, but you'll let me ski it, right? Did you know
Alex? I did.
You did. Okay. What was he like? On the record, what was Alex Cushing like?
You know, I was much younger than Alex, thank God.
Yeah.
But we had respect for each other.
Good.
I was pretty young. He was an icon in the ski industry, and I certainly respected him. He obviously wanted what I had, and that was a bone of contention. So we were able to negotiate and live closely with each other in a sense.
Very closely.
And I still respect Alex to this day for what he was able to accomplish. He burned a bunch of bridges and you know, created some animosity.
He has a reputation.
But you know, he's got us to where we are, basically, and I respect that for sure.
What's the history of White Wolf? And I think that would start with when you purchased White Wolf and how it all has developed to this point.
Yeah, I won't bore you totally to death here, but I guess the story starts when I'm a committed freestyle skier.
On the U.S. ski team.
On the U.S. ski team, and realized that this is kind of a lifestyle that I certainly enjoy. architecture was my major in college, so to do a development that got to involve both the ski industry development made a lot of sense. So it started out to be the bed and breakfast dream, 5 acres, you know, kind of a Eric, or I can't think of his name, Stein Erickson kind of approach. He did his lodge, he had his guests in there. They would come to the bar, he'd chat with them, it was private, I'd take you out skiing in the afternoons, and we'd have this quaint little atmosphere.
Very cool.
Picking up the whole mountain changed the whole direction of where we were going to go with that thing. So we became ski area developers in a sense. And I knew both the owners on both sides of the fence, Nick Padamia, the owner of Alpine Meadows, and Alex Cushing. I didn't know very well at that point. Nick and Alex were pretty good friends, and Alex asked Nick one time, what is with this young kid over there? What is he doing? And I guess Nick kind of chuckled and said, he's got a lot of big dreams. So
yeah, it's got a pretty important piece of land right there.
So we were off and running, and we started to put together a plan that was more formulated for the size of the property that we got, and started with villages and all kinds of different things that could take place in here, but kept it kind of open. We had to get something started. We started with the private share. We knew we couldn't go public. We knew that was going to open up a whole bunch of cans of worms that we couldn't deal with and financially afford, so we jumped in there and started doing a private chairlift.
And what year was it that you bought the land? Do you remember?
I bought the land in 1989.
1989, okay.
That's when we started to purchase on the land. It was, in itself, I was totally intimidated. I was a mountain boy. I kind of spent most of my time in the mountains with jeans on and skis and boots, and I had to go down to San Francisco to one of the big office buildings where Southern Pacific Land Company was, and I put on my best mountain attire. I had probably a corduroy sports coat and tie, and I walked up to these doors, and there were two like 14-foot chrome doors, and I stood there looking at those going, I am totally out of my league here. And those doors opened, and a guy with a 3-piece suit comes out, and I kind of mentioned what I wanted to do, and he said, well, I can't really sell you a small parcel like that, but you happen to be here in the right time, and we're selling out to a company called Catellis, and any of the deals that we put together between now and then, there's money in our pockets, so we'd definitely be interested in talking to you. But it's not going to be a 5-acre parcel. So as we negotiated and worked our way through, it went from 144 acres we thought was a real parcel, and that wasn't, and then it became the whole square mile basically. And I looked at them and said, boy, I'm totally out of my league now, I can't afford this. And they said, just hang with the program, and we'll see if we can get you through. So
wow.
There was a couple mistakes made on the Squaw side. I didn't know at the time what was going on, but they had blown an opportunity that probably would have liked to have back. And
which is buying White Wolf.
And I ended
back
up,
in 1989.
I ended up being a landlord for them, and they sent them a letter saying, please send your next rent check to your new landlord. And that started a whole different phase of White Wolf.
I'm sure, yeah.
So that's kind of how we evolved into where we are. Hopefully we're going to be a good part of the community when we get this thing all said and done. It's a real plus. I'm pretty excited about the directions it could go, but that's how we got started anyway.
We're excited too. And I think you've disclosed it before. How much did you buy this land for? Can you
Less than
disclose that?
$500,000.
Less than $500,000 for all of what? Square mile.
Yeah, in 1989, I was not the well-to-do. I sold off my house. I had a spec house at the time. We moved into the property on a trailer, until we could keep our feet underneath of us. So it was a lot of money for us back then, but it certainly panned out to be worth a lot more as we got into it.
Well, $50 million from less than $500,000 to 50. That's
a good profit range.
Yeah,
on
if
that
you're going to
thing.
put a number on it, yeah, that's good. Well, Troy, we're all very excited. So I think that this is going to be a very cool thing, and we all have our fingers crossed for the 5-year plan. I think that's what we want.
See if we can put it in there.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for speaking with us today, Troy.
Yeah.
We greatly appreciate it. You have a beautiful place, and we can't wait to see what happens with White Wolf.
No, I appreciate your interest in the project. It's cool, guys like you keep the stories going. So it's been a lot of fun talking to you.
We try, yeah. Thanks again, Troy.
Thank you.